Hey everybody out there in YouTube land. So you want to learn how to build a barn door, do you? Well, if you'll hang out with me through this episode, I'll teach you from start to finish. All right, so what we're using today is a 1x6 tongue and groove. You can see this here. It has a tongue on one side and a groove on the other. That's so that they'll interlock, and I'll glue all those together. I've already cut these down to the height of my door, which is going to be 86 inches. So you cut all of your 1x down to 86 inches. And then I'm using a 1x4, which is just a pine 1x4. But what I've done is I milled it down to a 1/2 inch thickness. The reason why I did that was because most of the hardware that you put on or that you purchase from either eBay or Amazon requires a door that is 1 inch and, let me see, 3/4 plus an inch. So it'll be 1 3/4 is the max that they allow for the hardware. But some of them, like a barn door kit by Win Soon, they you can leave a note to the manufacturer for the thickness of your door. If you don't have a planer in order to plane these down, they're going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. So that gives you, if you're trimming both sides of the door with the same design, then it's going to be 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4. So you got 2 1/4 inches of thickness in your door. So you're going to have to tell the manufacturer that that's how thick my door is, so that they can send you the correct kit. So anyway, I'll be cutting these down as well, the 1x4s, to match the door. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and show you how to put all this together as far as just the frame, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so what I've done in order to set up my bench, so I've got everything's nice and square, is I put a 1x2 across the back, made sure that that was nice and straight. Then I used a framing square or a large speed square in order to put the top one across, so that make sure that my frame, when I put it all together, is nice and square and true. So we're going to start with the first board. I usually lay it down so that the flat side is showing. You have a groove side as well. Flat side showing with the tongue towards me. I'll set it into position in my jig. Then I'll get another one ready. That one is going to be used as an end piece because it's got a big chunk out of it, so I'm going to use it for an end piece. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some tight bond premium wood glue, and I'm putting it in the groove right in here. I want it kind of thick if this thing would ever come out. I want to put a nice amount in here so that when they're locked, they stay locked. So I'll squeeze. Okay, the reason why, where are you at? There you are. All right, the reason why I'm putting these 1x4s or these 1x's up underneath is because my bench isn't wide enough, and I got to have one more piece put on. So I kind of extended everything so it's a little bit longer, so I can put my next piece on. Okay. Okay, now I'll get some clamps and clamp this bad boy up. That one. And that one. Usually your bow is going to be right in the center. In this case, that's exactly what I've got. So I'll bring everything together. Like so. Making sure everything's nice and tight on every piece. Here we go. Okay, just double checking everything, make sure I'm still square like I need to be. Okay. Okay, so now I know the width of my door and the length of my door. My width is going to be 36 inches, so my top and my bottom piece to trim this thing out is going to be 36 inches long. So what I'll do is I'll find the best side of the board and face it up. This is all going to be painted, by the way. If it's going to be stained, you definitely want the inside up. But you're also checking for your grain. This grain kind of comes down this way, which tells me it was part of the tree that went this way. So if I lay it down like this and glue it, it won't bow up. If I turn it the opposite direction, each end will eventually will bow up, and I don't want that to happen. So I make sure that the grain is facing down. Now I pulled the center of 36 is 18 inches. So I'll make a mark at 18 inches. Then I'll measure my door. I've got 40 and 5/8, which is 20 and, let's go, because we're going to cut this off. So we'll go 20 and a quarter, be 20 and 5/16. So out here, about 3.5 inches down, I'll put 20 and 5/16. Make a mark. Okay. Then I want to line that mark up that I just made center of the door with the mark that I made on the 1x4. And then what I'll do is I'll end up cutting the excess off. In the end, I'll show you how to do that. So we'll take that, get some glue all over it. Okay. I like to go in a zigzag pattern, making sure I got plenty of glue on the ends to keep them from bowing up, and touch it off right around the edges, just a light coat. Okay, then I'll put both marks together and flush with the top of my door. Then I use a trim gun. Okay, this trim gun shoots up to 2-inch nails. In here I've got 1.25 inch nails because of the thickness of it. I don't want it to go through. So I've got 3/4 of an inch plus a 1/2 inch is 1.25 inches. So I'll slightly angle my gun just a little bit so that the gun goes in at the nail goes in at a slight angle and doesn't poke through. So I'll put that on my marks. Flush with the top. Give me 3 nails. And I'll come down here to the end. Give myself 3 more nails. And then about every other one, I'll shoot 3 nails into it. And that'll hold everything together. Now that my door is dry, I can take my clamps off. Okay, so what I know that my door is going to be 86 inches long. So I cut my side pieces 7 inches short because each board, the top and the bottoms, are 3.5. So 3.5 and 3.5 is 7. So I take that off of my overall length of the door so that my sides will work out perfectly. So try to find the straightest one I got. And I'll put it on the edge of the one I've already started down there. Don't know if you guys can see that, but I'll show you. It'll be evident at the top. Checking my grain, make sure my grain is going the right direction, which in this case is going like this. So I want to put it there, but I want to put some glue on it. Then I'll set it into place, approximately where it goes. Come down here to the end and put in a 3 brads. 1, 2, 3 at a slight angle. Then I'll take my framing square and I'll stick it down here on the end to square it up with this board. Make double sure everything's nice and square. Okay. So to the end of the framing square is where we want to put a nail. So put 3 nails. Okay. Then I use a straight edge like this. I purchased this from Lowe's. And it's just an 8-foot piece of aluminum, 2 inches wide, so it doesn't flex, bow this way. It can bow this way. I'm not worried about that because I'm using it for a straight edge. So I'll set that down right where I have my framing square, slide it all the way up to the top, and check down this line to see if it's touching all the way down. And it is, except at the very, very end. So what I'll do is I'll bring it to where it's touching all the way down, like right here. 3 nails. Then I got a bow in the end just a little bit. Right there. Awesome. Okay, now move my straight edge, go ahead and get it out of the way. And now I can put on my top piece right here. I'll turn you guys a little bit so you can see me again. Don't know why, every time I touch this thing wants to move, and it's tight. Let me go ahead and tighten it a little bit more. Can you see me now? Good. All right, so find the good side of your board with your grain going that way. So I'm gonna put glue on the bottom. Okay. And I'm going to nail it up here at the top. Making sure everything's flush. 1, 2, 3 nails at an angle. Then, since the one closest to you guys down there is already nailed off, I've got my other side piece. Looks really straight, but even if it wasn't, I'm going to show you how I straighten it out. So I'm going to check my grain. Okay. Load it up. Set it down there gently and approximately where it's going to land right there. Okay. So I'll start down there since it's already nailed. I'll go ahead and get it flush. 3 nails. Okay. Then I know I want to have 36 inches from outside to outside. So I've already nailed this one on. So from here to here, I should have 36 inches going all the way up. Three nails. Go a little bit further. And then I'll get it flush with the end over here because I know that's right. Now I can nail this top one down. Every other board, 3 nails. There, now you have the outside frame. Now on this particular door, the homeowner wants just a diagonal going down the center as far as the bracing is concerned. So what we're going to do is going to grab a 8-foot 1x4 that I've already planed down and bring it in here, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay. So I've got my 8-foot, this is just, I haven't cut this thing down to 79 inches like the other ones. I left it 8 foot because at a diagonal, it's going to be longer than 79 inches, making the door total of 86 with the 2 bottom pieces. So what I do is I kind of set my 1x right on the inside edges so that where this board and this board meet, right on that corner is where I'm going to set it. And I'll do the same thing for the bottom. Okay. Then I draw a light line right there on the inside of that board. And that tells me where this board's going to be, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the center of this board right on that line. So the center of that board on the line. I'm actually going to cut this down a little bit so it's easier to work with. So I need a piece about 1 inch longer than your measurement. So I need something about 85. Okay. Now that I've cut this down to 85, I want the best side showing I can find. Okay. About the best side. The good thing about this pine is it's got knots in it. It gives it character. Makes it look like an actual wood door. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this board that I just cut and I'm going to find the center. So I know half of 3.5 is 1 3/4 inches. I'll make a mark 1 3/4 inches on that end. I'll make a mark 1 3/4 inches on this end. And then that line that we made right here, we'll put the mark we made on the board with the line we made each end. Okay, now the reason why I pulled this thing back 1.5 inches was because of the distance from the inside of my blade to the outside of my my fence. So it's my plate. So that way when I cut this, I'm not cutting into the 1x4. I'm just cutting into the tongue and groove that I have. So that way I get the full shape of my door. And there we go. Okay, now that everything's sanded down, I just went over it lightly with 220, knock off any of the burrs from the cuts, but also to make sure that where all my joints are, they're nice and flush. You know, you want that to have a really nice looking door. Then what I'll do, either painting or staining. Painting I like to use in order to fill my my holes. I like to use this rock hard putty. It's really good stuff. It dries pretty quick. Actually, within about half an hour, it'll be dry. And it doesn't sag or shrink, which is your main thing in your holes, because you don't want to see all your nail holes. So I'll mix up some of this, fill in the nail holes, let it dry, then I'll sand it down, and she'll be ready for paint and primer. So, if you like this video, please